I'd like to call the meeting to order for Monday, August 2nd, 2021. Please rise for the pledge. Vanetta will lead us in prayer.
Father God, thank you for all the ways you bless our community. Thank you for allowing us to meet together tonight to do our city's business. Please guide us as we make decisions. And as our school year resumes, please watch over our teachers, their administrators, and the students and families. Please keep our community safe and healthy, and help us to show our love for you and how we treat each other. Amen.
Amen. Thank you. Next item on the agenda, roll call. Everybody's here. We do have enough to conduct business. Next item, approval of minutes from July the 19th, 2021. I entertain a motion to approve the minutes.
So moved.
Motion from James Baltimore. Is there a second? Coach Cole, any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries. Next item, unfinished business. Is there any unfinished business? Next item is new business. Under new business, we're conducting a public hearing tonight, August 2nd, 2021, ordinance BB 704, an ordinance amending the Dyersburg municipal zoning map by rezoning property located on 4th Street, Brewer Road from B2, General Trade and Services District, to PB, Planned Business District. That information was in your packet. It was properly noticed at the last board meeting. A copy of the ad in the State Gazette is attached. That was published July 17th. And then tonight, this is a public hearing to adopt this ordinance if the board so chooses. It has gone to the Planning Commission. It was approved at the Planning Commission. And tonight, the city board will take action on it. Any questions, comments?
I've got a comment on, or down here under section 1 on the ordinance.
Yes, sir.
It says the following described property be rezoned to R3 high residential district. I think that's supposed to be a typo. Isn't it supposed to be PB?
I'm going to defer to Thomas Mullins.
Good afternoon. Give me just one moment. I'll get caught up with you.
Middle ways of the page.
Okay. There was an amended version that came to us incorrectly. It's B2 to PB. Do apologize for
So
that.
instead of R3, it should be PB. Right.
I'm sorry about that.
Okay. So we do have a corrected, we have a corrected version.
When I sent the first one, it was incorrect. The second one was correct. I
Okay.
apologize.
All right. Any other questions?
Yes.
Sure.
I'm confused, and I'm a little bit disappointed and a little bit upset. Reading where on Forest Street, 1601 Forest Street, has applied for a package store license.
Okay.
My biggest concern is that if the state awards that license to that person or to that particular property, the negative impact it's gonna have on Ward 1, Community Future City. We already realize that we have a crime issue, we have a poverty issue. A liquor store does nothing for that community.
This is not the same property.
Sir?
This is not that property. This property connects to Brewer Road to 104 West. That's a different set of properties you're referencing.
It's out behind Holy Hills Church, Willie, I think, out there.
No,
And
sir, this
is that-
actually goes from Brewer Road to where Lowry's Body Shop is, Jim Surratt's Automotive Repair, what do they call it, J&P.
Is it not back behind though where the,
If you got your map, look at your map.
This is Forest Street,
Right, that's
This is-
Chevrolet and Viper.
and you have Forest Street and Calcutt in that area. Am I correct?
Bypass, and so you pass the bypass, there's Chevrolet right there.
Well, why would 1601 apply for a liquor license?
That's totally separate than what I'm discussing tonight, though. That's not in the same vicinity. We're on past the intersection. This is where Lowry's Body Shop is. This is where Jim Surratt's
Crossing the bypass.
yes, sir.
Right.
That's where this is. Yeah, this-
You enclosed a map with this, you know, and it's clear right here.
Delta and Roberts Gibson.
There's Forest Street right there, am I right?
Right, that's going,
It's Forest Street,
Delta and
and all that
Gibson.
area right there has been rezoned.
And coming out here on Brewer Road, just what's in outline of that.
There was a lot of people confused about that. I think you showed it to me at the planning commission. 'Cause I had,
Different area, though.
but that's not what you're talking about. The liquor store is not what you're talking about tonight, right?
No, sir, we're not talking about that. That's back east from where we're discussing.
Coach Cole, if you look at the map in the bottom right-hand corner, you'll see Forest Street. So we're talking about on the other side of the bypass, as Thomas mentioned. And I'm pretty sure what you're talking about right now is already zoned
Yes, sir.
for that type business. So what we're doing here has no bearing on what's going on up there where you're talking about, at the corner of Calcutt and Forest Street. That's already zoned appropriately for that type business. Yes, sir.
you're saying Larry's Body Shop though, this is behind Larry's Body Shop. Larry's Body is actually on the bypass.
Yeah, it's on the bypass.
This is the Lowry property. This is Jim Surratt's property, all the way back up to Brewer Road, to where it's just, I guess it'd be west of the church. Everything west of the church going back towards
That's the
Steel.
other end of it, right?
I'm not as good as maps as Dennis, but I thought I was in the vicinity.
That's where the hood used to be. It's not about where the hood, or where the barbecue place used to be, right?
Going past down where it still is.
This is
If-
the back part of
He was probably confused because I was last time, you know, when I brought it to you.
I understand.
That's where the church is. Church back here.
That's the church, I think, right here. This is, no, Brewer Road turns left down here.
I'm fussing right now, and I'll go on and I'll fuss again another day. But I just need to be aware of that. Question. When will this other issue that I'm concerned about come up?
As far as the city of Dyersburg Planning Commission, it will not.
It won't.
It will not, no, sir.
Let me speak to it just a little bit. So, package store, liquor stores are governed by, and alcohol, liquor in general is governed by the state of Tennessee Department of Alcohol and Beverage Commission. So, our ordinance says that we have a certain number of package stores that are allowable in the city of Dyersburg, and that number is 4. Currently, we have 3. There's been application made to the state of Tennessee for a 4th liquor store at that location that you're talking about, which is actually 1601 Forest Street. I think I sent the information to some of y'all as far as that's concerned. The city of Dyersburg does not approve that. We do not have a hearing about it. We do not discuss it or take action here. That's all done by the state. So on the 15th of July, the agenda came out from Tennessee ABC that listed everybody that was on that agenda to whatever business they had before the ABC. And one of those on there was a place called A1 Liquor in Dyersburg, Tennessee. This is public knowledge. Applicant is SAI Liquors Corporation. Member is Meena Patel. And it went to the state of Tennessee. It was heard on the 22nd of July, I think, at 1 p.m. And they were granted their license for that based on 3 conditions. And I'm reading from the agenda I sent to some of y'all. Says, before the commission is a request for approval of a new retail package store licensee to be located at 1601 4th Street, Dyersburg, Tennessee, 38024. The TABC staff recommends conditional approval of the license subject to certificate of occupancy, inspection, and license fee. So again, the city of Dyersburg has really nothing to do with this. It's all the state. Hopefully that answers your question.
It answers my question, but it's a shame.
I understand your concerns. Yes, sir. I do. I do.
I know I've got off base and I apologize, but it's a shame when the state of Tennessee cares nothing about the community. All they see is a dollar sign. And I'll say it here, and I'll say it if I get an opportunity, I'd say it before then. This is not gonna bring any money into my community. It's not gonna bring, it may bring more traffic in there, which would lead to some circumstances that get out of control.
And I sent that information to some members of this board so you could provide public comment to the state of Tennessee. Don't know if that was done or not.
Yes.
Okay, good,
Yes.
good.
Just ignore it.
Okay.
I see Mr. Hastings back there. I think he's involved in this. Lee, can you clear up? I mean, I know that we're not talking about anything that Willie's talking about. It's just rezoning a piece of property out there, correct?
Yes, sir, Mr. Hammonds, it has
So everybody at home can hear you.
But, Alderman Cole, I agree with your sentiments on all that. This property we're trying to get around, this multiple properties that we're trying to get rezoned, has absolutely nothing to do with a liquor store. Rest assured that if I knowingly were involved in something like that, or going to sell a piece of property like that, I would never do that as a conscientious thing. But this before the board today has absolutely nothing to do with the liquor store. It's just rezoning of several pieces of property from the Brewer Road area to the Finley Highway area. But I don't know anything about a liquor store. This is strictly a commercial building that's trying to go into this area of 3.3 acres that I own on Brewer Road that I think the city is going to be happy about. So that has nothing to do with that. So did that answer your question?
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Hastings.
Mr. Hastings, you got rid of property on Rawls Avenue?
I did, yes, sir.
Can you find out who owns it and then cut it for me?
Well, yes, sir. Actually,
It needs to be cut, okay?
okay, yes, sir. I will. I don't know if I have the gentleman's phone number. A real estate broker handled that for me, but I will get that message to them. Absolutely, yes, sir. I will.
Okay, any other questions? This is a public hearing. Anybody in the audience wish to speak to this, or any other questions of Thomas? Okay, I would entertain a motion to approve. Have a motion from Mr. Baltimore, second.
Second.
Second, Ricky Hammond. Let me say, all the affected property owners all are in agreement with this and signed letters as to that effect. Is that correct, Lee? Yeah, so everybody that this involves is in agreement with this? Yes, sir. Okay, and we've got all that information. Okay, so I have a motion and a second. Is there any more discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Thank you, Lee. Next item on the agenda, Dyersburg Police Department Agency Report, Chief Steve Isbell.
be respectful of everyone's time, I'm going to go through this pretty quickly, but you'll be provided with a booklet as soon as we get those made up the next week or two. And I would encourage you to go over this because there's a lot of details in the entire annual report that's really good information for you. You can take some time to read it and digest it, and then if there's any questions, please let me know. We'll start with the crime report and be comparing the 2020 crime report to 2019 crime report. In 2019, we had 4 homicides. In 2020, we had 1. All those homicides were cleared with arrest. The next category is aggravated assaults. We had 178 in 2020, which are up. In 2019, we had 140. Similar in simple assaults, there were 514 simple assaults compared to 491 in 2019. Out of those assaults, out of the 178 aggravated assaults, which are assaults with injury or a weapon is used, those are felonies, aggravated assaults. Out of the 178 aggravated assaults, 56 of those were domestic violence cases. And out of the 514 simple assaults, 318 of those were domestic related. Under the property category, burglaries were down 187 in 2020 compared to 223 in 2019. Robberies were also down from 21 in 2020, and we had 30 in 2019. The largest spike is in shoplifting. In 2019, we had 193 shopliftings. In 2020, 430. In 2020, we answered 24,253 calls for service. There were 2,163 arrests made. 2,055 were adults and 108 were juveniles. There was 132 more arrests in 2020, which was a 6.5% increase from 2019. We had a total of 72 use of force incidents reported in 2020. And that's an average of 1 use of force incident out of every 30 arrests made. That is a 3.3% of the time that officers had to use some type of force to effect an arrest. Force applications. Officers encountered a total of 72 response to resistance incidents. This shows a 12% decrease from 2019. Even though there's an increase in the number of arrests, officers have been able to decrease the number of force applications by increasing emphasis on pre-assault indicators. Even with the challenges of COVID-19, DPD continues to focus on educating officers in objectively reasonable applications of force upon resistant subjects. During department training, officers are placed in scenarios where they are forced to make decisions in tense, uncertain, and rapidly evolving situations which simulate real-world environments. Also in 2020, there were 7 incidents that caused injury to the suspect that required some degree of medical attention. The use of the taser has increased by 44% in 2020. That is probably one of the most effective tools that we have to safely take control of a situation, someone who's being combative or is resisting the officer's arrest. And thanks to you this year, you approved a sizable increase to our budget to purchase the new tasers, as our old ones are going out of warranty, and we greatly appreciate that. That is a tremendous tool for us. There were 34 incidents where a suspect evaded arrest in a motor vehicle. Of those, only 1 was a pursuit. This continues to demonstrate the effectiveness of our policy and training in emergency vehicle operations that only allows for violent felony pursuits. Assaults on sworn officers. Again, out of the 24,253 calls for service and the 2,163 arrests, 5 members of the department were assaulted. None of those required medical attention. The demographics in regards to response to resistance, White males account for 37% of the force encounters. This is an increase of 23% from the previous year. Black males account for 37% of the force encounters. This is also an increase of 19% from the previous year. White females are 8%, and that's a decrease of 42%, and black females are 17%, and this is an increase of 69% from the previous year. Hispanic males accounting for 1%, no Hispanic females. The 15-year analysis, and this is something that we do voluntarily. This is not required from CALEA or the state or federal government. It's something that we felt was important to do as a snapshot of our response to resistance. It's a gauge on where we've been, where we are going. And just briefly, in this 15-year analysis, we responded to 443,259 calls for service. Out of all those calls, there were 40 injuries to an officer with no deaths, and there were 77 injuries to suspects and 2 deaths. Of the 45,986 custodial arrests made over the same 15-year period, officers used force only 3% of the time. Department overview, years of service, we have 12 officers that are in the 1 to 5 year range, and from 5 to 10 year, we have 10. From there, it's cut in half. We have a young department. The age of employees, again, 25 to 30, we have 8. 30 to 35, we have 14, and from there it drops in half. The 4th of July detail this year, it ran from July the 2nd to July the 6th. You know the challenges we face on the 4th, and with it being a long weekend, it added to our challenges. There were 546 calls for service during this period of time. 132 of those were noise complaints, primarily fireworks complaints. There were 39 arrests made, and there were 18 cited for fireworks violation. That number could have been much higher. We just simply didn't have the available resources, and we were answering a lot of calls for service. And unfortunately, those are unnecessary calls for service. We ask our public to work with us and follow the ordinance to allow us time to answer these other pressing calls. We had just over 130 hours of overtime where we called in extra help during that period of time. That's in addition to officers already assigned to work the street. We staffed it really heavy during that period of time, and we responded to 4 weapon complaints during that time. To the recent violence that we've had, and of course we've reported on this before, and just a quick rundown. January through May, we responded to 118 weapon complaints. We also ran a gang saturation in the affected areas. In just a 5-day period of time, we seized 8 weapons, conducted 227 traffic stops, and made 80 arrests during that period of time. From those shooting scenes, I think it was a 2-week period, we collected 143 shell casings, which shows you the amount of firepower that we're facing right now. That is a lot of rounds going through our city and very highly residential neighborhoods. We have addressed this, or are addressing it, working with the District Attorney General's office, which I'm sure that you are aware of this also. It's been publicized. It's been and it's on our Facebook page with the gang saturations, with the gang injunctions. It's the first time it's ever been done here. We think that other than Memphis and Nashville, we're the only other city to pursue this. And through the work with our DA's office and our street crimes unit, all of our officers here, we were able to get the gang injunction filed through Chancery Court. The judge ruled in our favor. The first hearing was to declare the 2 gangs that we've identified, and they are under this injunction. The second hearing was actually on the members of the gangs themselves, and there'll be additional hearings coming up as we continue to get those individuals served and get them into court. We feel that's going to be effective. We're doing everything we can. we're thinking outside the box. We're asking for the public's assistance. A number of these calls that we've had, multiple shots are fired, multiple witnesses are in the area, zero cooperation. So we're asking for our public's help and support in this. I know I went through it very quickly. Again, you're provided with the booklet, and there's a lot of information in there. I ask that you go through, and that concludes my report.
Chief, what you just alluded to is the safe zone, is what you were talking about, the ordinance, I guess?
Yes, sir.
And we're real early in that, but you think that that's going, I mean, is it paying dividends already?
It has, and we still have a lot of work to do on this, but those zones have been declared when the judge ruled in our favor. Again, now it's just a matter of getting all those individuals served, and we've served a number of them. And if you go back and I hope you read the paper and saw the action that was taken on those individuals, and we can start the enforcement side of this. If they violate the injunction, then it rises to the level of a criminal charge. Right now it's civil in nature to get the injunction filed. If any of those gang members violate the injunction, then it is a criminal charge that we can actually make an arrest on.
Basically, from my understanding, 2 or more are found in a safe zone. We can arrest them, is that correct?
That's correct. And there's some other things in there, obviously involved in any type of criminal activity, which would lead to an arrest anyway, but just be an additional charge. And another important thing is the courts have ruled these individuals as gang members. And we very much plan and hope to use that in an enhancement phase of any criminal prosecution where there are some enhancements through Tennessee code for gang members. So again, we're going at it full steam ahead to get this under control.
All right, Chief, appreciate what you do. Thank you.
Any other questions of the chief? Anything? Chief, thank you for the report. We'd also like to thank the members of the department for what you do and the service you provide, and there will be more to come about this later, but I want to let everybody know that Chief Isabel was just selected, honored as the Tennessee Association of Chiefs of Police Chief of the Year last week. So we're happy.
Great.
You got a cake, Chief?
And thank you for that, but it is truly a team effort. I'm in the driver's seat, and these officers and the support staff, they are the ones that are getting it done. So it is a team effort. Thank you for that.
Thank you, Chief. Appreciate it. Thanks for what you do in the department as well. Next item on the agenda, Street Sanitation Committee meeting minutes from July 29th, 2021. Chairwoman Mary Claire Hopper.
Thank you, Mayor. The Street and Sanitation Committee met Thursday, July 29th, 2021. We had staff and members of the committee there. First on the agenda was Mr. Jamie McCoy and Mr. David Schweitzer with River City Hydraulics gave a presentation to the committee on the advantages and cost savings the city could possibly take advantage of by transitioning to curbside pickup over the current backdoor service that the city of Dyersburg currently utilizes. We will get more information on that as we move forward. The second item on the agenda was Woodside Lane. Chairwoman Hopper discussed the findings of the drainage study with the City of Dyersburg engineer Tiffany Hurd. Tiffany noted that the drainage pipe on the south end of the drainage ditch that runs north to south behind the houses that face Woodside Lane is undersized, and that during a flash flood rain event, the undersized pipe causes most of the water that backs up in the street and yards near the intersection of Woodside Lane and Duff Street. Tiffany noted that the pipe appeared to have been installed years ago on private property and over the years have had driveway improvements as well as utility building structures on or near it, all of which would have been removed. It would not likely be a feasible option. Chairwoman Hopper asked the City of Dyersburg Street Superintendent Mike McCullough if the street department still monitors the area, and Mr. McCullough acknowledged that his crew monitors this area as well as many others throughout the city during heavy rain events. The next item on the agenda was street renaming policy. A discussion on the renaming of the city streets was held. Mayor Holden asked the committee for an opinion regarding this issue. The committee was generally concerned about changing the names of existing streets because of the confusion it may cause to the postal deliveries as well as other companies that make deliveries. I also would like to add that we discussed the fact that it would be an expense on the homeowner. Chairwoman Hopper made the motion to deny the request to rename existing city streets. A second was made by Alderman Baltimore, and all voted in favor. And meeting was adjourned.
Okay. We would entertain a motion for the street renaming policy that you discussed to not allow it.
I make the motion to not allow street renaming in the city limits.
Okay. Have a motion from Mary Claire Hopper. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second from Ricky Hammond. Any discussion? And we did talk about if there was a church or an individual or a group or whatever that wanted to rename a street, that they were more than welcome to put a memorial marker on that street or on their property if it's on that street, as long as it didn't violate our ordinances as far as the signage. So there is an avenue to do this, to recognize someone. So any other questions?
Are you saying then that a person can be recognized, not rename the street, but if you wanted to put up a plaque or
Yeah,
something?
a memorial marker. Yes, sir. Any other questions? Okay, we have a motion, a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries. Next item on the agenda, Recreation Committee meeting minutes from July 30th, 2021. Chairman Ricky Hammond.
Thank you, Mayor. The Recreation Committee met at 2 o'clock Friday, July the 30th at the Activity Center. Parks and Recreation plan was presented by Andy, and he informed that the master plan was a guidance for a 10-year plan to improve parks in the city of Dyersburg, and was a requirement from the TDEC to apply for future parks and recreation grants. I think we have this. Did everybody get one tonight?
I think y'all got the draft. I got the original version late this afternoon. I prefer to email it to everybody.
I have the draft on the email.
Anybody
I've
that,
got about 6 copies of the original.
If anybody don't want,
If anybody wants
Yeah,
them.
can I get one? I'd like to have one.
as far as the finished copy, I will send it all out to you tomorrow, though. I'm trying to, it's 70 pages. Megan don't want me killing trees.
Director Baker also informed the committee of some other grant opportunities, including a Blue Cross Blue Shield grant for equipment for healthy living projects, and it's available for us to apply during the month of August. And I'm sure we're gonna do that, right, Andy?
What's thinking, I'm sorry.
The Blue Cross Blue Shield grant, working on that. All right, I made a motion at the meeting to, for the committee to adopt this Parks and Recreation Master Plan. Tonight, we bring it before the board, and I'm gonna make a motion before the board that we adopt it tonight as a full board. Maybe you ask for a second, or?
Yeah, so we have a motion, and that's the next item on the agenda under Resolution 0802-2021, resolution to adopt the Dyersburg 10-year Parks and Recreation Master Plan. So that's the next item of business. We have a motion from Ricky Hammond. Is there a second?
I think that's a good thing. I'll second that.
Okay, I have a second from Mr. Baltimore. Any discussion or questions? Yes, sir.
Mr. Baker? Yes. Could you just give us a brief oversight of, don't talk all night now. Give us a brief oversight of what's in that master plan.
Sure.
For those that were not there.
And I have six of the originals that Scott talked about are what will be, and I have one copy that's still draft, and the only difference is there's a watermark on one of them that says draft. So if y'all want, those are 6 of the originals.
The draft is the same as.
Yes, sir.
that
The
one
ones that
there.
you
Okay,
got
so I
are
got
very
the draft.
similar. you know, there's nothing major added to that. But briefly going through this, I'll go to, I think that's page, it's the, prior to the first page, there's a table of contents. It's just got some existing plans, some summaries of the stuff that we had, things we have going on now. But probably, Mr. Cole, Coach Cole, what you're probably interested in are like some of the specifics. We just have some improvements to all of the parks areas, starting out at Evansville, coming into Future City, the River Park. We've even had some plans to do like a community garden over at Scotts Park. Some major improvements down at Bruce, improvements at Dyersburg Activity Center. Trying to think, and if you look through these, it'll show some. Of course, we don't know what the construction cost and what it would cost to do some of these projects 8 years from now, 7 years from now, whatever. But there's some proposed cost in here, what it would take to do these projects. And like Mr. Hammond said, this is something that moving forward with just about any grant that we're going to apply for, they're going to want us to have this a master plan. And I mentioned at the Recreation Committee meeting, this is not something that we're locked in. You guys, when you vote, if you vote to approve this, you're not voting and telling us, the public, me, that, you know, we're going to do this. We guarantee you're going to get this done. This is just give us some guidance of what direction we need to go moving forward in all areas.
There's no particular order we have to go in.
That's correct.
I mean, we can pick and choose and.
That's correct. And it was brought up at the Recreation Committee meeting, if we apply for a grant 4 years from now, 2 grant cycles away from now, if we want to put a carousel at Okina Park, you know, not that I want to do that, but I'm just saying, we can pull that up to the front of our master plan and edit this ourselves as we see fit. And so this isn't the only stuff that we can work on over the next 10 years.
Any other questions? All right, have a motion and a second to adopt this resolution for the 10-year Parks and Recreation Master Plan. All in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed, motion carries. Thank you. Thank you, Andy.
Thank you.
Next item on the agenda, bids from Greg Williams. That was attached in your packet. 4 bids that on the agenda tonight. All were approved in the budget process, so no action needed on behalf of the board tonight. Any questions about these? Okay. Next item on the agenda, report from Alderman. Mr. Baltimore?
Mayor, when are we gonna discuss, the Juneteenth, making Juneteenth a holiday?
Local government will need to do that, so whenever we want to have a local government committee meeting to do it.
We're gonna make sure that they look at that.
Yes, sir, yeah. Be more than happy to do that, and again, whenever we have a local government committee, that can be one of the agenda items.
And I want to compliment the chief, job well done. Y'all do an excellent job. I was wondering about one thing. Do we still have community policing? I used to ride the bikes through.
Yes, sir, that's very much an important part of our day-to-day activities, and that's why when we came up with Community Changer about 2 years ago, that's an initiative that we developed here in the department. Unfortunately, the year of COVID has greatly restricted our activities and our community picnics and cookouts. We're hoping to do that this summer, but COVID is making a reappearance, and so I don't know if we'll be able to do that or not. But yes, sir, community policing is a very, very important part.
I know that you were very, you wanted us to have that years ago. I remember you coming to the board and talking about that. And last year, or either the year before last, some of your lady policemen, I was down in Bruce, sitting on the porch with a bunch of old men. We just sitting there. And they came down through there and they spoke to us and came over there and talked to us a few minutes. And people really loved that.
Absolutely.
It was a wonderful thing.
Yes, sir.
Appreciate you. Thank you so much. And Mayor, one more thing about salary evaluation. We were talking about doing salary evaluation for the city employees and looking at someone to come in and to look at salaries because we're losing employees because we can't afford, we're not
Right.
able to. Are y'all aware of that? Are you gonna be working on that?
Yes, sir. I've already talked to MTS about that and I've talked to some other communities that have done that, and we are moving forward on that. Yes, sir.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Edward? Coach Cole?
I want to thank Mr. Mullins for his hard work.
Yeah, Thomas.
He's been on top of things for me. This is Quest. I appreciate you. And you've come a long way, Chief, from pizza night.
All right. Anything else? Megan?
No report.
Ricky?
No report.
Mary Claire?
No report.
Dennis?
No report.
Annetta?
No report.
I handed out the July code enforcement report. We talked about that at the Street Sanitation Committee meeting. I think this board wants to clean this community up. We gave that information out at the Street Sanitation Committee meeting. It wasn't included in the minutes, but I just want to reiterate what the codes department has done and what they've been involved in, and also the street department as well. In the years 2018, 19, and 20, the city of Dyersburg has removed 127 structures, issued 409 court citations, and addressed 3,471 other violations. And then in 2021 through the month of June, the city has removed 16 structures, issued 69 citations, and addressed 608 other violations. And I just handed out the July report that was given to us today for the codes enforcement. So thanks to Thomas and Kevin and Dale and the street department and Mike McCullough and those folks for what they do in cleaning up our city. Anything else? We're adjourned. Thank you.